go. But what we got was just the reverse. Until the fire was behind us, the house was on fire, and we were running for our lives.
We are marking almost 3 years since the deadly wildfires in Gatlinburg, and despite the ongoing recovery in the mountains, some scars will never heal.
Tonight, we hear from one man who lost everything, including something so precious it can never be replaced. His wife of 53 years. Jimmy Vance shared with us his story of that night on November 28th, 2016.
And we were sweethearts in high school. When you know somebody for 63 years, you're married to them for 53 years, she knows what you're going to say before you say it. She knows what you're going to do before you do it.
Jimmy and May Vance built a life together in Nashville. Jimmy was an attorney. May ran the household.
And I have to admit, she babied me too much. And I loved every bit of it.
Gatlinburg was a favorite vacation destination for the family, so in 2007, they bought their own mountaintop retreat next to the Smokies.
And the house was our dream house.
When Jimmy retired, it became their permanent home until November 28, 2016. A fire was burning nearby in the national park, brought on by a severe drought. On that Monday morning, Jimmy said the smoke was noticeably thicker. He and May were in the yard working when the president of the Homeowners Association stopped by.
They're asking people over at the top of Airport Road to voluntarily evacuate. Well, that term I wasn't used to, and I said, what the heck is voluntary evacuate? You either evacuate or you don't.
May and Jimmy stayed. A little later, Jimmy asked someone from the power company fixing a transformer nearby if they were safe. He hesitated and said yes, but Jimmy still felt uneasy. He called 911.
And she hesitated me. She said, oh, we think you're safe right there.
That afternoon, the Vances made their way down the mountain for dinner. They returned home around 6:30, settling in for the night, and then...
Next thing I heard her scream, come quick. All back was glass windows. And I could see the fire coming up the hill. It wasn't but just, 25 feet from my bedroom. We got to go.
May also grabbed their dog Peanut. They ran to the truck and drove into an inferno.
Fires on both sides. Houses are burning on both sides. Cars are burning on both sides. I couldn't see the road. There was so much smoke. We went a ways, I don't know exactly how far, but the smoke lessened, and I could see the yellow line. Once I could see the yellow line right down the road, I said, I can see the yellow line. We're going to make it now. And I looked over, and she'd slumped down. Well, there wasn't any way I could stop. I reached over and touched her, excuse me, on her head, and it was just, there was no resistance. It was just loose. I hollered at her, never said a word. I prayed. I couldn't stop.
Jimmy found a police officer who immediately began CPR. An ambulance came and rushed May to LeCompte Medical Center. But as flames got closer to the hospital, May and other critical patients were evacuated to UT Medical Center in Knoxville. There, Jimmy was surrounded by his sons. He reeked of smoke. His minister, who was also there, left and came back with new clothes.
And I call them my preacher breeches because he bought them for me. He bought them out of love.
Jimmy kept a vigil by May's bedside.
We were both there, my two sons and me, when she died, which was a few minutes after midnight, which was my birthday. And I miss her so. That's what happened.
3 years later, Jimmy is still asking why. Why weren't they told to leave?
because we wouldn't have stayed. Even though this was our permanent home and all our worldly possessions were there, they wasn't worth our lives. We would have been gone. All they had to say was go. But what we got was just the reverse. You're okay. You're safe here. 12 yonder. Don't worry about it. Until the fire was behind us, the house was on fire, and we were running for our lives.
Jimmy has a new home now. Much of what he lost in the fire has been replaced, but he can't escape the pain of losing the love of his life.
And she's gone, but then you're lost and lonely. Loneliness, I believe, is the worst disease in the world. People try not to make you lonely. People try to help you. My children want me to come visit them. But they got their families, they got their careers. I'm lonely every day. And I miss her so. And I will forever.
Jimmy Vance is part of a lawsuit filed against the federal government for the 2016 wildfire. You can hear much more of Jimmy and May's story on our new podcast, Inferno, the Gatlinburg Disaster.
A tribute now stands in the Smoky Mountains to the lives lost and the lifesavers on one of the darkest days in the history of Gatlinburg. A firestorm in November 2016 swept through this town of fewer than 4,000 locals, but a tourist mecca that's a gateway for millions to America's most visited national park. First responders rushed from cabin to home to hotel throughout the night, rescuing thousands of unsuspecting victims trapped by heavy smoke and flames. The firefight included aerial attacks and desperate efforts on the ground to stop the flames. 7 years later, Gatlinburg is dedicating a new space for locals and visitors to reflect on the events of November 2016 and the firefight, leaving this mountain community forever changed.
November 28th, 2016. The day that changed lives. Every fire department all over the United States to help Tennessee with the wildfires, killing 13 people and destroying more than 700 structures. People who were trapped and had nowhere to go, and some say it was going through the gates of hell. Friends and family were desperate to find each other. Through the process as a community, we worked together to pick up the pieces and move forward and remember the ones who we had lost.
See you in heaven. This is Joe and Reba Williams, and this is their story.
No one said there was a fire, so we packed a few things and got on the elevator.
The elevator started down and jolted to a stop. At 11:05 p.m. 911 was called, and here is the call.
Here's your emergency. I'm at Westgate Resort. I called earlier to say we were trapped in an elevator in the 4,000 building.
You're trapped in the elevator at Westgate Resort?
Yes. 4,000 building. We've been here for almost 3 hours.
Country music singer and songwriter Dolly Parton started the My People Fund to raise money for the Gatlinburg wildfire victims and raised $9.3 million.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, the Grand Tour Pigeon Forge YouTube channel, and today I'm down here in Patriot Park, and today we're going to talk about wildfires. As you know, 9 years on November 28th, 2016, we had a wildfire here. in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. So we're gonna head up to Gatlinburg and show you some of the spots that were burned. So let's go on. As you can see, there is the list of names of the fire departments of Tennessee that helped during the 2016 wildfires. As y'all can see right there, that piece of foundation, as you're coming into Gatlinburg on the opposite side, there used to be a castle that sat up there and it burnt down in the wildfire. I will have pictures.